Hello everyone, welcome to Little Fantasy. I am your host Zack, and I have another amazing book review for you all today. Now this is exciting because when it comes to this book was actually a review copy given to me by the author, and it's actually kind of ironic because the second I hit play, there was actually like thunder and lightning, and this is almost perfect because today we're going to be talking about The Thunder Heist by Jed Herne. Now this is the first book in the Twisted Sea series, and I am so excited to talk about this because for me, like I said before previous episodes, I am a sucker for the heist genre, especially when it is fantasy. I love Mistborn. I love that type of style of, the caper meets the heist and kind of setting up and doing all those things. And this is why when I reviewed, Six of Crows, I was a little disappointed. Now we're going to talk about this book because at its surface, it is a heist story. But unlike Six of Crows, I really enjoyed it and kind of what it was trying to do with the caper and the twists and the double turns. I'm not going to spoil anything, but I am super excited to talk about it. So, why don't we talk about it? So what is the basic synopsis of the story? Well, we follow Kef Cutmark, who is kind of the leader of like this marauding band of pirates in this world where pretty much everything is almost like Waterworld-esque. I might be using Waterworld as a comparison because secretly I love that movie, but I'm not going to try to, compare it in this way, but pretty much they live in a world where the majority of life lives on boats because the mainland and dry land is just populated with the worst upon worst monsters, and it's easier to just live out into the sea with Kevin Costner than it is to just, be out on the islands and take your time. Because of this, life has developed in a very aquatic way. If you ever played Gears of War 3, I imagine the Raven's Nest at the beginning of that game, kind of like what it would be like to live on a boat. But here, it's kind of a heist where she is tasked to pretty much destroy this gigantic mechanism, or did I say destroy? Steal? Acquire? I guess there's different ways to say it. And this is where the book is interesting and unique, because there's a lot of twists and turns. There's crosses, double crosses, triple crosses, quadruple crosses, all these types of things. But again, I'm not going to spoil it, because when it comes to the story, it's very action-paced, it's very fast, it's very loose in morals. If I was to put this into like a subgenre, I'd actually put magical thriller at times, because the pacing in this is so good. Every chapter is just run, and you're holding your breath the majority of the time. And one of the biggest things that I love about this is when it comes to Kef and the entire crew is that it isn't boggled down by the traditional heist story like The Sting or, Ocean's 13, Ocean's 11, or even The Italian Job. It isn't like one last score. It's actually just, hey, we're going to do this thing, let's do it, rather than it's a thief that it's in is, out of his prime, is trying to do one last big score. It isn't really like that. It's more of a story of revenge, but also how can we screw someone out of so much money? And that's one of the charms that I love about this type of story. Everyone has a reason to be on the heist. It isn't like, well, I'm just here because I'm here. No, everyone has a purpose, everyone has a function, and everyone gets along. I think that's one thing I love that Jed does, is kind of when it comes to the characters, he's really strong in his characters in many ways. They do have a lot of fun banter, which we'll talk about why it can be a con a little bit. But for me, what I liked about it is kind of how everyone fits into place. Everyone has a part to play. And when the plan goes wrong, do people fix it? Is it something that can be fixed? And that's something you'll have to read to find out. The other thing that I loved about the story is the illustrations. Oh my gosh, if you're looking for a book and you're a sucker for illustrations, I love this story. It's like a chef's kiss. I love it so much because when it comes to the illustrations in this, it really sets up the world and really fleshes it out into like a high fantasy setting where you want to live there. I guess maybe less on the boat with Kevin Costner and more of just hanging out with everyone. But that's what I loved about it, and that's what I found so much fun, is that with the illustrations within the world building as well, it complements it. Rather than having just maps of medieval period, you kind of have a lot of different tones and feelings when it comes to it, which for me, I love so much, especially when it comes to that cover. Yeah, I love that cover so much. It's so great. And that's the thing that I love about this book, is that it has a lot of things going for it. I think the word I would use to describe this book, if you want to have my pull quote, is this book is charming to the last heist. That's what I felt like. It was so charming, it was so different, and that's something that I really loved about it. Now, when it comes to the cons, this is where I kind of have some problems with the book a little bit. I mean, the middle of the book kind of boggles down a little bit because it feels like it doesn't go anywhere. But once you kind of figure out the aha moment and things go back into place, it does work. I think the biggest problem that I had with this is I said, it had some fun banter, but the dialogue in this at times, I don't want to say that it's bad, but at times I was eye rolling because I wasn't sure if it was supposed to be a pun or, supposed to be taken seriously. I think the best way to describe it is you have all these gritty people. It reminds me of The Hateful Eight in many ways, where they'll say the most outrageous things possible, but because they're the main characters, it's supposed to come off, I guess, to the reader's imagination as charming. But other than that, it's kind of this, certain characters do this. I know Kef has some one-liners and kind of, punches up that dialogue a little bit. But other than that, when you can get past those hurdles a little bit, the book is a lot of fun. Again, it's more of kind of those interactions rather than the conversations, because when they're detailing the plan and they're actually in combat or they're having a lull period, this is where the dialogue does really well. But when it comes to kind of the witty humor of this book, for me, it kind of falls flat. It's really hard to describe comedy because comedy is subjective to everyone. Though it's one of those things where it's planned a little bit, where it isn't just all jokey. There are parts of this book that are very serious. There are parts of this book that are really sad. There are parts of this book that you just want to fist pump. And that doesn't really deter from the book. I felt like when it comes down to it, it knew what it wanted to be. It wanted to be this heist story, and it wasn't like, oh, we're going to have super romance here. We're going to have, mythology over here. It kind of congregates and kind of goes like this a little bit. And when it comes to the dialogue, it kind of, has some growing pains, but by the end of the story, I did feel like there was a really good conclusion. When it comes to the descriptions and the magic in this wasn't that fun, but I love the world building. There's a big difference between me liking world building and me liking magic. I'm more of the world building person, and this is so good. But if you're looking for a story with straight up great magic systems, you might not get it. But hey, I mean, that's not for everyone. Whatever floats your boat. Yeah, God, no. Would I recommend this book? Yeah, I'd totally recommend this book. I'm probably gonna pick up more of the books as they come out because this is a series. I won't spoil the ending, but it made me want to read more of them, and this was a delight to read. I read it on my Kindle. Again, this for me was a review copy, and this is a book that isn't that long, and it's one of those where you can read it, in between car rides. You could read it while you're waiting for friends. You could be reading it at night when you're just trying to, relax, maybe look outside at the waves or whatever's, lulling and rocking your boat a little bit. I should really stop with these boat puns. I might be thrown overboard. Ugh, God, I feel like Kurt Russell. But, I do recommend this book. Where can you find it? You can find it on Amazon. It's very easy, very cheap to get. You can also get it on the author's website. There's going to be a link down below. I recommend it. Everyone should read it. And it's one of those books that if you liked Mistborn or if you like the heist genre, you're really going to enjoy this book. Well, everyone, thank you all so much. If you like this video, maybe consider subscribing down below. I'd really, really appreciate that. If you really liked it, maybe give me a thumbs up. Tell me how I'm doing. Is the lighting or things good? Am I losing my hair? I don't know. But thank you all so much. And like always, everyone, may your food and drink ever be tasteful, and may your books be filled with fantasy and adventure. Bye, everyone. See ya.